So today we're gonna be cleaning the undercarriage of beautiful Betty White. I know that sounds exactly like what you wanna be watching right now, but that's what you're gonna watch. Welcome to BodeVision. Yeah, heard. Like I said, this is my 1988 Honda Accord. The engine bay hasn't been washed probably ever. So I call her Betty White. That's what I've called her since high school. This was my high school car. This was my daily. If you saw my last video, I go into that a little more into detail. I'll put that video right there so you can check out that after you watch this video. But my plan is, like I said, I'm gonna wash the engine bay. I gotta do the valve cover gasket because it leaks like crazy. Whew, love bugs. Welcome to Florida. So you guys, if you haven't checked out my last video, the first video that I posted about my 1988 Accord, that video I'm kind of asking you guys a question to see what you think I should do with this car. Leave your honest opinion. Go back on that video. Oh, I forgot the brakes don't work. Go back on that video and leave your honest opinion. I'd really appreciate that, so that way I can decide what I want to do with this old girl. So obviously this is before. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spray the whole thing down with degreaser and then I'm gonna pressure wash it. Some people ask if it's okay to pressure wash an engine bay, and my answer is you just gotta be careful. But this car has been on the road for 30 years. You think some water in the engine bay is gonna hurt her? I don't think so. Alright, so that's what we're looking at. Overall, I think it looks pretty good. I would have done a lot more, but it started raining like crazy. And if I wanted to do more, if you want to do more in your car, just repeat the process. Degreaser, pressure washer, degreaser, pressure washer. The better you want it to look, the more time you should spend on it. But this will look just fine. It looks nice and clean and sanitary for if I want to keep it or if I want to sell it. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get this valve cover off because I got a new valve cover gasket. That'll prevent the oil from leaking on the headers, so it'll stop smoking. That'll be another thing checked off the list. And then after that, if I want to get this car sold, the only other thing I have to do is fix the brakes and the car will be back on the road nice and safe and not smoking and hopefully good to go. So the valve cover's all done and completely good to go, ready to rock. With the brakes, it turns out I got really lucky because the fluid was just low. I thought I was gonna have to bleed them, but I just added fluid and I kept pumping the brakes and I got some pressure back. I saw some bubbles come up in the reservoir, and if I want to get it a little better, I may still bleed the brakes, but ultimately the brakes are not that bad of an issue. So something else that I kind of noticed when I was driving around, I feel like the vehicle kind of started to develop a misfire. So I looked at the plug wires and one of the plug wires looked like the tip was kind of broken off. So I bought brand new plug wires. So once these are in, the car is pretty much good to go. When I bought this car 5 years ago, one thing that I was really worried about was the fact that it's such an old car. It's a 30-year-old car, but I didn't realize that AutoZone and Advance and different places like that, they still carry any part that I would need for this. Plugs, wires, distributor, all that stuff. Anything that I need for this car, they don't necessarily have it in stock, but they'll order it for me and I'll get it the next day. So just to let you know, if you want to buy this car, that's not an issue. You can get parts for it almost the next day. So buy this car if I decide to sell it. Let's see if this misfire cleared up. And so it seems like we're good to go. I mean, I know you guys didn't really see before what it was doing, but it was just kind of cutting out. And the fact that one of the plugs, I'll show you what it looked like. This had broken off from one of the actual plugs, so I mean, that'll probably do it, wouldn't you think? But let's take this thing for a spin and let's take it out on the road and let's see how she does. Let's see here. Betty White is alive, boy. Man, it is crazy. For being 30 years old, that car really does drive good. I mean, the steering feels solid. Everything feels good. It's really responsive. And I mean, for being carb rated, like I said, if it's not 100 degrees out, I mean, it's damn near there. It was actually running pretty good. So my next step with this car, my next step with old Betty White over here, I want to get rid of this ugly muffler that I made. Like I said, I made that in high school. I mean, I know what I was going for, but it just doesn't look like how I wanted it. So I want to get rid of these ugly pipes and I want to install this muffler. I think that makes it look better overall. Here's how we look with the muffler semi-mocked up. I did some of the welding, but I did not complete all of it. I just kind of wanted to get going. And now that the welding is going to be finalized, I'll show you some of that process. So my next goal is to take this section. As you can see right here, it just is a complete mess. I mean, I was trying to do some pie cuts and I figured rather than trying to close these off, I'm just going to add a new pipe right there with a new bend. So what I do is I take my little tool right here. This is my little angle finder. So I hold it up to there. And then when both centers are kind of going through, that's what angle I need. Then I turn it over here and I see that that's about a 40-degree angle. So what I have to do with that 40-degree angle and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take two pipes and then I'm going to cut both of them at a 20-degree angle. And by the time I put them all together, it's going to be a 40-degree angle. Hold on. Let me back up from here. This is the actual pipe that just came off the car. You guys saw me just pull this off. The good thing about using all piping that's all the same size is I can use this and I can take parts and pieces of it to make my new thing work. I realize, and I think you guys realize, this is a little janky than some of the stuff that you usually see me doing, but I think you guys can give me the credit that when it comes down to it, I can put out some quality work. But this, for old Betty White, I'm using donated parts. I wanted to make it as cheap as possible, and how could you get any cheaper than using regular old parts that are completely free that you already had? We got it pretty dialed in and we're perfect. I mean, it's a 40-degree angle, there's no gap, it is ready for welding. After everything I showed you, it kind of started to get repetitive, so I didn't want to just keep showing you guys the same stuff. But let's take a look. So, you guys remember how that looked? I know the proper way to do this would be like either mandrel bend would be the best way or even a crush bend, but this is kind of temporary, so this is what I wanted to do. This was 100% free. This is my personal vehicle. I don't know that I would do this on a customer vehicle unless they specifically requested, and even then I don't like doing stuff that's a little not the proper way to do it on a customer vehicle. But anyways, guys, I mean, look at Betty White. She is doing so much better. She is in recovery mode. These things that I'm addressing are gonna have to be done either way, whether I sell her or whether I do kind of a mild build with her. But I mean, what do you guys think about the exhaust? I mean, check it out. I don't know about you guys, but I think it is so much cleaner. I know some of you guys were a fan of that old thing that I had on there, but it wasn't clean. It didn't look right. It didn't look like a big boy build, and that's the only builds that I'm trying to do now. But anyways, so coming up in my next videos, I want to address this fender. I want to keep working on Betty White, and I want to make sure I get everything dialed in to make her perfect. Once I get this fender over here addressed, I need to try to get this headlight lined up so that way my lights can go down, because that's the beauty of this car, 1980s flip up headlights. Huge fan, by the way. But anyways, we're gonna keep making progress. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like this video, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, it's just BodeVision. I'm also doing things on Instagram where I'm giving away free stickers. I have that posted in my story every so often. So if you want a free sticker, go check me out over there. But anyways, like this video, comment, subscribe. You know what it is, YouTube. I'm out.